America's auto market bull run is coming to a juddering halt. $1.3 trillion in auto loans for cars that are not even worth what they were financed against. What does that mean? Bailouts or bankruptcies for auto dealers and banks in the coming months? The question that comes to my mind is, do these companies expect to mobilize trillions of dollars on the credit of the taxpayer to save these banks from their own folly and greed, which violated the maxims of fairness? Is it clear where the finger of blame is to be pointed? Is it the consumer that opted to purchase an overvalued Sienna instead of a new Chrysler Pacifica hybrid that came with a $7,500 EV rebate? Is it the banks that excitedly loaned out billions of dollars to car companies for overvalued cars, which is a non-appreciating asset? Or is it the greed of the auto companies that push prices even further because of a lack of consumer awareness and because they honestly thought that they could get away with it? Now, before we continue, give us a like and also subscribe to our channel just to keep up with the latest automotive news. It is my opinion that markets are efficient, self-regulating, and best left to their own devices, which basically means no bailouts. Let me know in the comments below what you think is going to happen. Now, in the next 3 to 6 months, we're going to see a lot of car companies and dealers that overextended their lines of credit gone. Take a look at the graph of some of the most notorious culprits, one being Carvana, that pushed up the used car market even further. As you see, the graph, the market valuation of Carvana has dipped significantly, as has Vroom and CarMax. CarMax is a little bit more steady. At the end of the day, even if we do not do a bailout, the consumers will always be on the short end. Banks will recoup what they can from the dealers, and the dealers will simply trickle down their expenses to the consumers via newly formed fees and restrictions as a means of recouping what they provided the banks. But anyways, let's talk about used cars today. Cox Automotive press releases on used vehicle data shows signs of market normalcy after an unprecedented run in 2020 and 2021 that was mainly due to demand shock and low interest rates here in the United States. As with every bubble, you will begin seeing the inexorable cracks forming, and these cracks unfolded at the car auction, where various dealers go and bid on these vehicles. And in this case, we are talking about overvalued vehicles in a market where consumer demand is now softening due to the higher cost of borrowing. Entering in the car market the past few weeks and at an alarming rate are repossessions, coupled with dealer trade-ins and purchases. All three of these categories were subject to dealer bids that were far below the loan amounts used to acquire the vehicle by the selling parties, which resulted in a key metric: no sales. We will get into that shortly. Now, it is also important to note that the other key metric here was the increase in repossessions. Now I'm going to provide an example of what a no sale is and why is it important. A consumer purchased a Toyota Sienna for $25,000. Let's say it's $5,000 over true market value. Those were one of the hottest cars during the pandemic. Consumers had to acquire a loan amount of $25,000 for that said vehicle. At one point, that vehicle was repossessed. Now imagine hundreds, thousands of these vehicles lined up at auction that were repossessed for dealer bids in a time, again, of softening demand. Now, the dealers were bidding lower than the bank's acceptable price, resulting in massive amounts of no sales. These no sales began increasing on a weekly basis and would circle back to the auction the following week with a new set of hundreds or thousands of repossessions. As you guessed, the auction is now faced with a massive supply of unsold cars, which are a major concern for banks that seek to recoup their funds. These auction lots were overpacked. And just as we saw in 2008, there was a massive squeeze on credit, and getting loans for those with less than excellent credit became even more stringent. So what does that mean for the consumer in the used car market? It means you have to wait, because following the laws of supply and demand, a fall in demand and a rise in supply will lower prices, and there will be a market correction. Some experts are predicting that it's going to be between 20 and 30%, but the feds will most likely continue to hike up rates a couple more times throughout the year to correct the demand shock within the US. Anyone that implies that this is a bubble is incorrect. We are not seeing a sudden and extreme plunge in used car prices. Think of it as a deflation or a gradual decrease in prices over the next few weeks or months. So do not buy a used car right now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like always, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. Discuss your experiences. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. You can always follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more automotive news, deals, and advice. See everyone in the next video.